And we are finally here. We have reached season 4 of Stranger Things, the season that gave us the really iconic villain Vecna, gave Joseph Quinn a career boost, and had everybody listening to Kate Bush on repeat. Let's dive in. Season 4 starts with a flashback of Dr. Brenner and shows us a scene which will prove very critical for the entire story, not just for this season, but the entire series. The scene ends with Dr. Brenner in a room full of dead kids and shows us a young Eleven covered in blood. It looks like she killed everybody, but we will find out throughout this season that that's absolutely not the case. At the end of season 3, Joyce moved across the country with Will, Jonathan, and Eleven. But things in California have not been smooth sailing for Eleven, who is now going by the name Jane. She is the constant target of a bully by the name of Angela, who seems to really have it out for Eleven for some reason. Elsewhere in Hawkins, Lucas has joined the basketball team and he's hanging out with a bunch of douchebags, while Mike and Dustin, on the other hand, have joined a D&D club called the Hellfire Club, led by the very enigmatic and extremely memorable Eddie, played by, of course, Joseph Quinn. Like I said, his career took a big boost after this season. As we catch up with Max, we see that she is very much in a dark place compared to where she was in season 3. Max never really had the greatest of life, but she's feeling extra dark here. And who can really blame her? She did watch her brother Billy get killed by a giant monster. She's even been talking to the school counselor, and it's gotten to the point where her friends and everyone in her life are starting to worry about her, especially Lucas. By the way, we see that her and Lucas are not dating anymore. I don't know what happened, but at some point they just broke up. Jumping to Joyce, she receives a box that contains a doll that is marked as having come from Russia, and after speaking with Murray, she's able to open this doll and find that it has a secret note that mentions Hopper is actually alive and gives her a phone number to call. Now let's talk about a new face that we see in this opening episode and not anymore after that, and her name is Chrissy. Chrissy is a cheerleader and she becomes the first victim of Vecna, the season's main villain. She starts seeing awful visions, which prompts her to reach out to Eddie in order to get some drugs to make these visions go away. But while she's at Eddie's place waiting for him to get the drugs, she is killed by Vecna in full view of Eddie, who is now officially traumatized. Being that Max lives across the street from Eddie, she sees a large police presence and immediately goes to Dustin to explain that his buddy Eddie is about to become a suspect in a murder. Dustin dismisses the idea that Eddie could have anything to do with the murders, but in order to make sure nothing happens, he and Max start trying to track down Eddie, and they end up visiting Steve and Robin at the video store and use the address of a guy who's been renting movies to find out where Eddie is hiding. Meanwhile, Nancy, having heard about the crime, decides that she wants to head out to the scene and ends up speaking to Eddie's uncle, who assures her that Eddie had nothing to do with these murders, but instead he claims it was a man named Victor Creel. We're going to learn a lot about Victor Creel throughout the season, and he is very important. Nancy is very much onto something here. So is the friend that she brought to the scene with her, Fred, aka Vecna's second victim. Back in California, we see Mike arrive for a vacation, and he and Eleven go to the roller rink, where we get a full view of how just sick of Angela's bullying Eleven really is.
Angela!
And I gotta say, I don't feel bad for Angela at all. Eleven and Mike had been planning this vacation for months, and this was a very bitchy move. Just nasty. Still in California, Murray arrives, and he and Joyce end up making contact with the person on that phone number who says that Hopper is alive and that for $40,000 he can help him escape. His name is Dimitri, and he's a prison guard at the facility that is holding Hopper hostage. Sticking with Hopper for a bit, we do get to see what happened after his apparent demise in season 3. Most of his storyline really involves trying to escape the prison, a plan that goes through so many hurdles. Back in Hawkins, Dustin, Max, Steven, and Robin finally track down where Eddie is, who tells them exactly what happened at the trailer, and this is where we get the first mention of the name Vecna. With there now being 2 mysterious deaths in Hawkins, first Chrissy and then Fred, the military is put on notice, and we end up meeting one of this season's 2 biggest pests. This guy and this prick, Colonel Jack Sullivan. We see throughout the season that he is a brutal and determined man who will stop at nothing to capture Eleven. Now, the other pest is Jason, and he is the guy who was dating Chrissy. He's the captain of the basketball team and somebody that we first meet as being friends with Lucas. Lucas is trying to get in good with these jocks. He wants to be popular for once in his life. But thankfully, eventually, Lucas snaps out of hanging out with this douchebag and goes back to his original friends where he belongs. lungs. As a result of her serious attack on Angela, 11 ends up getting arrested, but before she can get taken to the juvenile detention facility, Dr. Owen shows up and rescues her, and he explains to her that Hawkins is in danger and he has a way to help her get her powers back because they need her to save Hawkins. After Eddie explains what he saw to everybody, the group decided to split up and find out what they can about Victor Creel and about Vecna's first two victims, hoping that there's some kind of answers there. Nancy and Robin end up going to the library where they end up coming across evidence that Vecna's first kill may in fact be the kill that Victor Creel was blamed for all those years before. Meanwhile, Dustin, Steve, and Max break into the school counselor's office to find her patient notes, and Max quickly discovers that she's been having the same side effects as Vecna's first two victims. It's at the moment where Max realizes this that she starts to first hear that grandfather clock. Now believing that she is next to die, Max starts writing letters explaining to everyone how she feels about them, which is obviously pretty upsetting. And after Max drops off some letters at her house, we see her get pulled into another vision from Vecna, who warns her that it's almost time. Nancy and Robin continue to look into the mystery of Victor Creel, hoping that he may provide some insight into Vecna and perhaps how he was able to survive this so-called night where his family was attacked by a demon. They pose as students and get to talk to Victor, who tells them about the night that everything went wrong, as well as the spooky things and visions that he and his wife had been seeing. Robin is able to pick up on a small detail that he mentions about the night the killings happened. He mentions hearing a song and then waking up from the trance to find his family dead, and this is really important. Let's pick back up with Joyce and Murray, who have finally made it to Russia to meet up with the man who is supposed to help them rescue Harbour, Yuri. But Yuri has a different plan of his own. He decides that he wants to keep the $40,000 ransom money and he wants to collect the reward. He throws that whole plan that they had into the toilet, causing not only Harbour to get recaptured after having just made it away, but he also causes Dimitri to get captured, and then he drugs Joyce and Murray. That bastard. Jumping back to California, after 11 was picked up by Dr. Owens, he sent some of his men to guard Will, Mike, and Jonathan at their house, but it all goes to shit when the military shows up looking for 11. Now the boys do end up escaping with Argyle, who comes and gets them just in the nick of time, but unfortunately one of the guards that they're with gets shot, and he is unable to tell them where this lab with 11 is. But he does give them a pen that actually proves to be pretty important. This pen contains a message, and that message contains a phone number. Back in Hawkins, Max decides that she has one last letter to deliver, one for her brother Billy, but while she is speaking to Billy's grave, Vecna makes his move on Max.
Max.
This was one of the strongest episodes of the season and led to that song Running Up the Hill going super viral and giving Kate Bush a whole new wave of popularity. Dr. Owens and 11 finally make it to the new secret lab, and it's revealed that indeed Dr. Brenner is alive. This is something that has been hinted at since season 2. 11 is obviously upset, but the plan is to help her gain her powers back by putting her in a sensory deprivation tank and having her relive some vital memories that Brenner believes will unlock her powers. But 11 isn't aware of the plan or that she's been put into a repeating memory, and as she experiences more and more of this memory, she does start to see her powers slowly return. As a matter of fact, she thinks that she's got her full powers back and makes a run for it to try to escape and makes quick work of the guards. She actually is able to push the guards away, but then when Dr. Brenner approaches her, she's not able to redo it. And he says, "Did you really think it would be that easy? You still have more to learn." And she does agree and goes back to stay in this facility to learn more. After the attack on Max, the gang is clearly on edge, keeping a constant eye on her and making sure that she's got Kate Bush close at all times. But when Max starts drawing some of the things that she saw in the dream world, Nancy recognizes immediately that she is drawing the home of Victor Creel. They go check out this house, and they're all carrying flashlights because this place is totally dark and abandoned. And when they are there with their flashlights, they notice that their flashlights are starting to do that thing that we saw in season 1. And as they move around the house, they start to realize that what they are seeing is Vecna in that house, be it he's in the upside down version, but he's there. He's literally in that house. During this scene, we also get a glimpse of Vecna taking his next victim, a guy named Patrick, who is a friend to Jason and probably not a great person to begin with. Back in California, Mike, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle come up with a plan to find out where this new lab is after they got that phone number, but they don't know what to do with it. When they call that phone number, it just gives them a dial tone. You know that tone from dial-up internet? That's what it gives them. So Mike decides they need to go go to somebody who knows how to unlock the secret mystery that they have, and that somebody is Susie. Let's not forget, while all this is going on, the military is still hot on 11's tracks. The relentless Colonel Jack even going so far as to torture to get the info he needs. He believes firmly that all these deaths and mayhem are coming for sure from 11. Now, after getting that address from Susie, Mike, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle all start to drive to where the lab is. Now, let's catch up with Joyce, who was just captured by the scummy Yuri. While he is transporting them on a plane to bring them to the Russians, Murray and Joyce end up getting loose and end up crashing the plane, but luckily they survive and are able to capture Yuri. After tying him up and threatening to leave him to die, Yuri finally agrees to tell them where this Russian base is, and they come up with a plan to rescue Hopper that involves Murray pretending to be Yuri, Joyce pretending to be a prisoner, and Yuri being forced to pretend to be Murray. He didn't really have any say in that. Switching back to 11, we continue to see more of her memories, and we see her befriend an orderly who at first comes off as a very kind and caring person, but what he really wanted was to get on her good graces so that she could remove a chip from his neck, a chip that just so happened to be keeping him under control because this guy's got serious problems. He's actually the psychotic Henry Creel, and he is the one who killed those people, his mom and his sister, not Victor. So it turns out that carnage that we had been seeing glimpses of, that 11 had been seeing glimpses of, came not from her, but from Henry. And he even tries to attack 11, but she ends up throwing his ass into a portal that she opened, and this is the first gate that gets opened. And as Henry is falling through that upside down, he starts getting electrocuted and zapped and burnt to a crisp until he turns into one ugly son of a bitch. Back to Nancy and the gang. After meeting up with Eddie, who has once again witnessed a Vecna kill, they find out that there is a gate in the water at Lover's Lake, and while searching for it, Steve gets pulled in, and Robin, Nancy, and Eddie jump in right after them. Of course, the two girls do it first. Eddie is very hesitant. He's not necessarily brave. So with them all on the upside down, they were able to, fight off and save Steve, and they ended up getting trapped there because some of the demo bats come and guard the gate. Hopper and Dimitri prepare to fight the Demogorgon that the Russians have turned into an experimental pet. And it turns out that's actually not the only Demogorgon they have. They actually have a whole bunch of them in tanks as well. Not a good idea at all. But just as this fight is about to really take a bad turn, Hopper is rescued from the pit by Murray and Joyce, who were able to trick the Russian guards. And with Hopper finally safe, we get a really awesome reunion between he and Joyce, and a kiss that I think we've all been looking forward to, right? I forgot to mention something that happens with Nancy when they are leaving the Upside Down through Eddie's trailer. She gets pulled into a trance by Vecna, who allows her to escape instead of killing her like he did the others, because he wants her to deliver a message to 11. He shows her a glimpse of what his plan is, and it's not good. Now armed with the knowledge that Vecna is creating new gates every time he kills somebody, they realize that when he ends up getting 4 kills, he's going to be able to tear a rift in the Upside Down in the real world. Basically, he's going to make a massive gate, and he needs these 4 kills. That whole chime with the grandfather clock has actually been indicating what he's doing the whole time. So now they come up with a plan that involves multiple steps, including using Max as bait to distract Vecna. Now, while this is going on, 11 is still in that facility learning to use her powers, and she has more control than she had before. As a matter of fact, she's finally able to enter the mind realm, and when she's in the mind realm, she finds out about this plan that her friends are making to attack Vecna. And she ends up telling Dr. Owens, "It's time to leave. My friends are in danger and I need to be there for them, and you promised I could leave whenever I want." Dr. Owens says yes, but Dr. Brenner says, "You're not ready." He ends up capturing Dr. Owens, and he drugs 11 and tries to hold her hostage. But not long after that, the military catches up and Papa ends up bleeding out on the ground. Not gonna lie though, this man is a slippery little rat. I wouldn't be surprised if he is in season 5. I mean, did we officially see him die? Now that Mike, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle have caught up with 11, they come up with a plan for Elle to be able to help Max with her plan without actually making it all the way to Hawkins, because they just don't have time to make it.
So you actually think this can work?
A bathtub would help.
Yeah, gotta be clean to enter the mind.
What?
Elle plans on using a piggyback to enter Max's mind and intervene when Vecna starts attacking. Now in the final episode, we see the plan to defeat Vecna take place. Dustin and Eddie distract the demo bats in the Upside Down by playing Metallica, which leads them away from the house, Victor Creel's house, and paves the way for Robin, Steve, and Nancy to enter the house and kill Vecna, who is now in a trance because he's currently going after Max.
It's okay.
I'm coming.
But it seems like Vecna might have been onto this plan the whole time because Nancy, Steve, and Robin all end up getting captured by the vines. Now rescued and free and ready to go back home, Hopper comes up with a new plan. He realizes that there's a gate open in Hawkins and that the kids are probably in danger, so he comes up with a plan to attack a demo dog, which of course is going to affect any of the creatures connected to that hive mind. 11 is finally able to enter Max's mind, and she catches Vecna by surprise, but she was in fact not ready at all. Papa was right, and poor Max does end up getting the worst end of this deal as her bones start to break. I swear my heart stopped during this moment. I thought, no, just no. Just as it looks like Max is done for, Mike is able to motivate 11 to power up even more, and she's able to stop Vecna before he can carry out the rest of his gruesome attack on Max. But it turns out that the damage he did to her was so severe that she does end up dying, giving Vecna that fourth kill he needs, and that causes the giant gate to rip open throughout Hawkins. Now freed from those vines, Nancy, Steve, and Robin all light Vecna on fire and give it to him. And we get to see Nancy take that shotgun and blast his ass. She knocks him right out of a window, but then when they go out to the ground to check where he landed, homeboy's gone. And we see that Max, who was clinically dead, ended up being saved by 11, who I guess can bring people back to life. That's going to be a useful skill going forward, I assume. But Max is not all right. She is in a coma, and when 11 attempts to enter Max's mind to see what's going on, all she sees is darkness. There's nothing there. Final shot that we see of this season shows that the gate is spreading across Hawkins, and the Upside Down is starting to bleed through into our world. Wow, that was a lot to describe. Season 4 was a massive season, but I loved it. I think it was one of my favorite seasons. It's the season that feels the most epic to me, especially with the arrival of that Dolby Vision and that really awesome Dolby track. This season is peak. Those episodes were huge. I'm extremely excited for this 5th season, guys, and I hope that now you guys are feeling ready to see those final episodes that we have coming to us on Wednesday the 26th. If you watched all 4 of my videos, thank you very much. I definitely put a lot of effort into making these recaps, have a lot of details. If you liked them, please hit that like button to let me know you liked it. And if you like what you're seeing and you want to see more things from me, please subscribe to this channel. Later.